it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, January 25th. Okay, so the moon in Cancer energy went void, of course, early last evening, and we're locking into the Leo energy at 2:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here this morning. And of course, we're shifting into this Leo energy, setting us up for the full moon taking place midday. So we are definitely in a very intense time where there's a lot of emotions really bubbling up to the surface, not only for acknowledgement, but for integration, which is the key word here. We're in January. We are in a time of visualization. We are in a time of really getting grounded, putting the fragmented parts of self back into a state of wholeness. And there are some emotions that we've been holding on to, especially connected to the old version of self, the old realm, the old reality that old version of self has created, that this particular full moon is really going to bring to our attention for one last final hurrah before we release it. Of course, after we release this particular energy, we're going to have a space in our heart space that wants to build towards new things, anchoring in this new version of self, recognizing where there has been a major change in heart due to a major change in perspective. And with that change of heart, with that change of perspective, now we have to take a good look at whether or not we're still in alignment with the vision, with the goal, with the dream that we were currently working towards. So there's going to be a lot of revelations. There's going to be a lot of heart activations. Again, take a listen to this week's ascension forecast for the rundown on the physical discomfort, the physical ailments that will likely be taking place in the physical form due to these energetic shifts. There's a lot going on. Take a listen to the astro forecast that I put out for this full moon in Leo. Download your moon guide. Make sure that you're in alignment with these energies because we're not messing around. We are definitely needing to get our shit together, to really shake our head, really take a good look at what currently is instead of living in Delulu land and focusing on what was supposed to be, what once was, what it could have been, what it should have been, what we want it to be. This is a little bit of a reality check. So there's definitely a lot of mixed energies here today. There are 10 different aspects taking place. 9 of them are going to involve the moon. So before the moon even locks in to this Leo energy, we do have the moon in Cancer energy, while void, of course, making an aspect with Saturn. So Saturn's the Lord of karma, ruling over roles, responsibility, systems, structures, foundations, willpower, discipline. In this Pisces energy, really challenging our beliefs, especially where we've been living in la la land, delulu land, imaginary land. There is a certain fog of confusion, a veil of delusion that we have been very comfortable living behind. Now it's time to kind of shake that off, wake us up, see things for the way that they are and not the way that we wish that they would actually be. And so this is a little bit of a heaviness, a weight, even though this is a positive interaction, a positive aspect. It is illuminating for us where it is that we kind of have to wake up, open our eyes, get a little bit real, raw, vulnerable with ourselves, especially with what it is that we're feeling. Let those feelings kind of dictate what is real and what is not, because our intellect, our mental plane, has this great ability of just kind of making up excuses, making up rational, let's call it perceptions and understandings to justify what it is that we're not willing to really accept in the form in which it is presenting. Again, another reason why many of us prefer to live in La La Land. This particular interaction is going to challenge us to actually see whether or not what we're looking at, what we're telling ourselves, what it is that we truly believe is taking place right now is what it is that we actually feel good about. This is about really seeing where it is that our heart and our head are either in alignment or are not in alignment. 2:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're locking into this Leo energy. A couple minutes later, we're going to have the moon in this Leo energy sit across from, directly oppose Pluto, who just moved into Aquarius energy. Again, if you have your moon guide out and available to you, you're going to know by going through the pros and cons of the aspects underneath this moon event that Pluto is a key major player in this particular moon event, really opening us up to see where it is that we need to make a major change, major transformation, first in our perception, in our understanding, second in our emotions and our intuition, third, get those two babies in alignment before we can take physical action in our physical realm. The moon opposing Pluto is bringing us to a tension point, bringing us to a particular conflict within ourselves. Emotionally speaking, we are a little bit timid right now. We are kind of tapping into the not so nice qualities of the Leo energy, which is being a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, a little bit cowardly, really kind of running away from the opportunity to boss up, to be bold, to be brave, to be courageous. Now, this particular aspect is going to illuminate where it is that, again, we're kind of justifying or making up excuses for why it is that we shouldn't boss up, why we can't be bold, brave, and courageous, why we can't make the changes and transformations. But again, this is going to take us on a deep dive in our psyche to see where the seeds of this not so nice confidence, this not so nice self-esteem, this inner narrative that is not supporting us to boss up and make moves, where that actually came from. The moon is then going to make an interaction with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener, retrograde in this Taurus energy for a couple of more days. This is a positive interaction, and this is definitely going to open us up, open our mind frames up to see a different way, to see a different path, to see a different perspective. This is a aha moment, an epiphany that does reverberate through our being, totally changing the game, if you will, bringing in new insights, new perspectives that, of course, have a major impact on changing the way that we think, changing the way that we feel. This is going to be a major shift, major transformation in our mood, in our attitude, in our focus, in our understanding. And of course, this is all about the heart space, having those heart activations to release some of the heavier weights, the heavier thoughts, the heavier ideas, the heavier emotions that we've been holding on to, freeing up the space, cleaning the slate for us to start building towards something better. So the Uranian energy definitely brings an unexpected aha moment into our realization, into our awareness that has a major impact on changing the way that we feel. The moon is then going to make a tough interaction with Venus. Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. She's in Capricorn energy, just fresh in it. So she's taking a little bit more of a grounded, logical, practical approach, business-minded approach, if you will, to her feelings, to her relationship dynamics, to her money matters, to what it is that she wants to be building towards and setting some new long-term goals dependent on the change of heart that she's currently going through as well. So here we have the moon in this Leo energy, heart activation. Here we have Venus in Capricorn energy, heart activation, and they're not getting along right now. Why is that, you may ask? Well, because emotionally speaking, we are still holding on very much to old attachments, old ideas, old goals, old dreams, old visions, because again, this particular moon event is about addressing and acknowledging the old version of self and that realm, that reality that the old version of self has created. There's been a change of heart. We're seeing things differently. We're seeing our relationship dynamics differently. We're seeing our values differently. We have a change of heart that is now putting us on a totally different path where the vision, the goal, the dream that we were kind of building upon even this time last week has suddenly changed. And so now there's a disconnect between what it is that we thought we were invested in, what we thought was making us happy, what we thought was bringing us a sense of joy, safety, security, and stability. Now we're questioning that. And instead of feeling as confident as we once did in some of those relationship dynamics, some of those thoughts, values, and feelings, now, because Venus is in this Capricorn energy and we're not letting our heart space necessarily lead, we're bringing in that intellect and saying, okay, Have I been kind of over exaggerating the happiness, the safety, the security, the stability that I've been getting from this particular relationship dynamic or getting from this financial situation? The answer is no. Something has changed, and now our long-term vision, our long-term goal, our long-term plan needs to change because of it. Now here's where things get super interesting. 12:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, in this Capricorn energy, getting into the boxing ring, squaring off with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is in this Aries energy, helping us with this identity shift. Now, let's just say that Mars squaring Chiron is about to pick the scabs off of the wounds that we thought were very much in the healing process. We are going to be opening old emotional wounds, and it's going to feel like they are wide open for the first time, as if they just happened to us. We have to get real, raw, and vulnerable with where it is that these triggers, these activations are bringing our attention to these wounds, to this pain, to this trauma. This is going to create a tension point, pressurizing that particular experience. Does this feel good? No. Is it supposed to feel good? No. It is supposed to trigger a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of karma, so that we're very aware of the issues that we still have to heal, we still have to repair, we still have to resolve. And it's triggering a lot of agitation, a lot of frustration, a lot of irritability, a lot of anger. This is going to be very challenging. We have to kind of be aware on whether or not we're going to be projecting this particular not so nice energy out into the world onto people that maybe don't deserve the frustration, the agitation that they may be receiving due to our lack of control over our emotions. And so we need to kind of figure out a better way to kind of get this energy out of our body without taking everyone down around us. And this is like an angered type of rebellion that we're feeling. We've had it. We've reached a breaking point. We're tired of feeling this way. We're really just not in a good space. We're defensive. We're on edge. We're touchy. We're aggravated. It's just not a good vibe. But this is necessary because that's taking place at 12:14 p.m. 12:55 p.m., just a little bit later. This is when the moon in Leo energy directly opposes, sits across from the sun in Aquarius energy. This is what gives us our full moon in Leo. This is the most potent energy that you can get. This is why the wounds have to come to the surface. This is why the pain, the trauma, the frustration, the agitation has to come to the surface of our awareness in order for us to get it out. We got to release it. We got to process it. We got to acknowledge it. We got to integrate it because we're about to move on in a big way. We are in Aquarius season. This is a time for improvement, for progress. This is a time of breakthrough. But in order for that breakthrough to happen, we do have to acknowledge the breakdown that is taking place right now. Emotionally, really triggering a lot of pain and trauma coming to the surface to get out of our physical form. Again, please listen to the full moon in Leo forecast. The Aquarius season e-guide has a very specific spot for this particular energy event for you to capture your thoughts, feelings, topics, and themes taking place around this particular moon event. And of course, download the moon guide and take a listen to your January zodiac forecast so that you know where this is taking place in your life. So we move on about an hour later. The moon is going to make a really tough interaction with Saturn. So you want to talk about feeling the weight of the world just crushing your heart space. You want to feel the roles and responsibilities that you're afraid to boss up to. You want to challenge your belief, challenge your heart space, really sit in the funk and really sort out why it is that this pain, this trauma, this struggle is really coming to the forefront. It's to make you grow. It's to make you boss up, to have a little bit more willpower, a little bit more belief in yourself, a little bit more discipline in order for us to be building towards something new, something better. The moon is then going to get into the boxing ring, square off, creating tension and conflict with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings in this Taurus energy. So Jupiter in this Taurus energy is about the low and slow process and very minimal progress that we are making towards creating new opportunities for ourselves for the long term. But let me just say this, we're all a little bit whiny. We're all a little bit, I'm going to say, overly dramatic under this moon in Leo influence. We're over exaggerating our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings. We're all just a little bit extra. And so we're a little bit whiny when it comes to thinking about, what we have to do in order to boss up, especially to create new opportunities, to stabilize our lives, to create happiness and joy in our lives. We want that change. We want to snap our fingers and be living in it. But when it comes to the energy, effort, roles, and responsibilities that we have to boss up into in order to get from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be, suddenly we're whiny little complainers. And so this is definitely not going to feel good. We're lacking self-esteem. We're lacking self-confidence. We're a little bit down on ourselves. That's 100% normal for this particular energy. And then later on in the evening, we are going to start coming out of it. Again, we have to let that full moon potency kind of dissipate a little bit before we're going to really start feeling a little bit more like ourselves. And it will be a couple of days before this full moon energy actually stabilizes. So the moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Venus. You may remember before we even reached that very potent peak energy that the moon and Venus, they were interacting in a very tough way. Now they're getting along. The moon and Venus are coming to a certain realization. We're calming ourselves down. We're moving out of that whininess, that complaining type of vibe. We are realizing where it is that we kind of let our emotions get the best of us, so to speak. And now we're a little bit more logical, a little bit more practical with how it is that we're thinking, how it is that we're feeling. Again, that earth energy from Capricorn that Venus is currently in is anchoring us, kind of like, dry your eyes. There's no crying allowed anymore. We got to get our shit together. We can't just sit around whining and complaining. We actually have to come up with a plan, with a strategy on how it is that we're going to make some of these moves to break us away from some of the things that are obviously weighing very heavily on our heart space to make the major change and transformation to set us up for long-term success. Again, reminder, we're in a period of time right now where short-term sacrifice is going to equal the long-term gain. That's very much where Venus is kind of focused in this Capricorn energy, is the long-term success, the long-term gains, and what it is that we can be doing right now that, of course, is not happy, not pleasurable at all, what we can be doing right now in order to set ourselves up for that success in the long term. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in this Leo energy making a very awkward interaction with Neptune in Pisces energy. So this is an interesting dynamic, but also probably not going to feel so good. The moon in this Leo energy is very anchored into who it is that we are, our ego avatar, the physical meat suit. Again, that Leo energy is the life force energy of our soul and spirit that now wants to be expressed, now wants to be kind of in control of this physical meat suit. And so Neptune and this Pisces energy that rules over our intuition, our karma, our soul contracts, our dreams, our imagination, our creativity, is kind of outside of the realm of this present moment. We're kind of so, I'm going to say, triggered and activated by the here and now circumstances that we're having a hard time aligning with the higher self, trusting our intuition, trusting the vision, the dreams, the downloads that we're receiving. There's very much this disconnect between being so anchored into our emotions that make this physical body, this physical meat suit, the main priority, the ego avatar, the main focus, whereas Neptune being in this Pisces energy is trying to remind us of our higher self mission, of our soul's path, our soul's passion, our soul's potential. So there is a disconnect there, but that's okay. We're still very much in the full moon energy. It's going to take a couple of days to settle into this, to actually understand the epiphanies that popped off, the downloads that we received, the energy that we released from our heart space, the new space that we've created to build towards something new that our heart and soul is asking us to pursue.